are a big part of that. And so all of this, I don't think any of this is new to you, and the same sort of sense of it and culture that you felt through middle school is also very much present in the high school. Um, in part of our mission statement, we talk about intellectual rigor. And this is, do want to take a few extra moments on this screen just for a second. I realize that one of the things that is unique about ISB, which may be different from a comprehensive high school experience, is I guess what I'll put as the college going culture. Really, our program is designed, and the International Baccalaureate program is designed to have kids be going off to college after high school. So, this is a college track program. And so, if your student is much more interested in going to a trade school, if your student is not quite sure what they're going to be doing after high school, it may be a good fit, it may not be a good fit, but really the program that happens grades 9 through 12 is setting students to go to university after high school. And we'll share a little bit more later on in the presentation about the range of schools that kids are going to and the range of programs that they're doing. But our program is really aiming for that. And um, I think it says this later on. Also, we have a 100% graduation rate, and we also have, I think, nearly 100%, if not 99%, college attendance rate after high school for our students or ISB. So that's what we're aiming for. That's a huge part of our mission is to make that happen. You're going to hear a whole bunch of terms thrown out at you, and I know sometimes some of our middle school families aren't as fluent in some of the terms that we use as we describe the IB or International Baccalaureate Program, which is obviously what ISB is all about. And so I put these up here as a guide. When we refer to the IB, we're talking about the International Baccalaureate, which is an international curriculum used throughout the world, college preparatory, unified program that happens really in grades kindergarten through 12 and ISB, obviously 6 through 12. Grades 6 through 10 is what are known as the MYP years or middle years program. So your eighth graders right now are right smack in the middle of the MYP. The first 2 years of high school, grades 9 and grades 10, they wrap up that MYP with a variety of activities and courses that tie into some of the IB curriculum learning targets, as well as the values of the IB, personal project, that kind of thing. The last 2 years of high school, grade 11 and grade 12, we refer to as the DP. And DP stands for Diploma Program and is the courses, but also the whole program of study, which is more than just those courses that happens during those last 2 years. So as we're talking about DP, if we hear that term, know that we're talking about grade 11 and 12. All of the courses that your students will take during those grade 11 and 12 years are either considered SL courses, standard level, or HL courses, higher level. And those, I want to make it clear that even our SL courses are quite rigorous and are considered college level courses. In fact, students do receive college credit for those SL courses if they score well enough on the IB exams at the end of their senior year. All students take at least 3 HL courses. Some take more, some take 4. We can talk about that a little bit more later on. All students will start off with HL English, HL Biology, and HL History, but that'll show up later on too. Sometimes we refer to our academic departments or our different disciplines as groups, and that's an IB term. And so you'll hear Group 1, Group 2. Group 1 is referring to the language arts. Group 2 is referring to world languages. So when we talk about academic disciplines, often you'll hear that term group, which is referring to those different subject areas. So just some terms you should be fluent with as we're talking about the program that's going to be happening for your kid if they were to stay at ISB over the next 4 years. Is this still me, Tracy, or is this to you? Your mic is I think your mic's off. There you go.
This is me. I had to go back to the original slideshow and look what number we were on. Uh, so hi everyone. I'm Tracy Meilenberg. I'm like Andrew said, I am one of the high school counselors. I've been at ISB for a really long time. So it's good to be here tonight. I love ISB. So the overview of the IB program. So in ninth and 10th grade, the students are completing that middle years program. Their classes look a lot like the titles of the classes look a lot like they would at the comprehensive high schools. And they also take a class called MYP Personal Project, where they're working on their personal project, which is something they're interested in. It's actually kind of a cool thing that they do. Like my daughter just finished it and she learned to cross stitch and she cross stitched a snake because she loves snakes. So they are learning. There's a learning goal and they have to write a report about it and things like that. So it's kind of fun. They're taking PE and health just like they would at the comprehensive high schools. Then in 11th and 12th grade, they go into the diploma program. And that is, those are those college level classes. And most of our, or all of our students start out as full IB candidates. That means that they are taking a course in each of those groups that Andrew just talked about. There's 6 groups. They're taking a class in each one of those. Plus, they take a theory of knowledge class and they write an extended essay, which is like basically a college research paper kind of. And throughout the 2 years they're participating in creativity, activity, and service, which is just the stuff that they're doing outside of school. It's like acknowledging the sports they're playing, the clubs that they're in, the service that they're doing, and they just have to like kind of keep track of that. So we always have this slide because our district is kind of interesting in that it has both IB and AP within the district. Sometimes families have some questions about what the difference is between IB and AP. And to me, you have to know a little bit about the history of the International Baccalaureate program. It was started in the 70s in international schools overseas, and and most of their students were going on to 4-year universities. And so they created this holistic program that where the courses kind of work together, and there's this overarching desire for students to become critical thinkers, to embody the principles that are in the learner profile, and really it's supposed to be a holistic program. The advanced placement was created by the College Board in the U.S. So the College Board are the organization that runs the SAT. And College Board was originally advanced placement was individual classes. So you took AP Bio, you took AP US History, you took AP English, and they were really kind of standalone classes. And most of them are a year long. There's an exam at the end, uh, and nothing. I don't think that you have to do anything but the exam. I don't know if there's internal assessments like there is for IB, but both of them are recognized by colleges as being the highest level classes that you can take. Of course, we're partial to IB at at the school, and for me, having been an AP coordinator when I first started my career, those are really challenging classes. But I like the holistic nature of the IB program. I like that it's looking at the whole student and it's very student centered. So for me, that's the difference. That's one of the big differences. Okay, you can. Oh, so IB at ISB versus IB at other BSD schools. So Mountainside, Southridge, and Sunset all have IB programs. And to me, the difference is that is all that we do. Like I didn't mention that I have 3 kids that also go to ISB, and I've worked at international schools overseas that did the IB program. And to me, when you have that like group effort that everyone knows what you are going through, there's no one knows you don't there's no one that you can't talk to about like, oh my gosh, that English essay is coming up. What are you doing to study for it? Like there's really this like united group spirit. Whereas at the other IB schools, a lot of kids are there are very few full diploma candidates at the other school. So they are, there's like maybe 30 or 40 kids doing the entire full diploma. lots of kids are taking one or two IB classes, but the rest of their classes are, standard level classes that you would take in high school. So nothing wrong with that. It's just that if you are going to do the full diploma, ISB is a great place to do it because of that community atmosphere. All of our classes are 2-year classes. At the other schools, some of the programs are 1-year courses, especially the SL courses. Um, and I think Mountainside does have the MYP program. I don't know if it's the full program, but most of the other schools don't have MYP in ninth and 10th grade. So that's kind of the rundown of that.
Tracy, there was a question. This is probably a good time to answer a question in the chat that was around early college and how does ISB connect to early college? What's the role of early college? How would that compare to one of these other experiences?
Okay, so for those of you who don't know, early college is just for juniors and seniors. So it's not something that you can do in ninth grade. And it is run at PCC, both the Rock Creek campus and the Sylvania campus. And basically you are earning both college credit and the rest of your high school credits at the same time at the community college classes. Um, and we do have a few students who leave ISB after 10th grade. We always have maybe between five or six. Oop, where'd you go? You're on mute.
Sorry about that. The screen disappeared on me. Give me a second.
Oh, we always have like five or six that do early college. It's the for a student who it's the right fit for. It can be a great program. They have to be very independent and ready to have that college atmosphere. It is like uh you are it's just like college. For those of you who've gone to college, you might have a class at 9 a.m. and not another one till 12 p.m. and you have time in between, and maybe the classes are only 2 days a week. And the other thing is that there aren't a ton of high school students. Like most of the students are 18 to 50 there. So it can be a great program. If they go to early college, they stay. Our kids, they're our ISB kids, they can participate in graduation with us, but they're doing all of their classes at Portland State.
Is
But
that
that's
sharing
really,
correctly? Sorry.
yeah, it's sharing correctly.
Okay, thank you.
But that's really something that you can't think about until, well, you can think about it, but you can't do anything with until spring of your 10th grade year. We have great completion and success rates at ISB, which is another thing about just the culture of our school. We have all of our teachers, 100% of our teachers are fully aware of what the MYP and DP program is and what students need to do to prepare for the diploma program. So we have 100% of our students we have 100% graduation rate. 80% of our seniors complete the full diploma requirements. So we always have a few students who decide, I'm going to stay in these classes, but I'm not going, we call it test in. I'm not going to test in math because for whatever reason, like they decide that they don't want to do it. But of the students that do test, do all of the tests, 80% of them are awarded the full diploma, and 100% of ISB students earn at least one course candidacy from ISB. So usually, uh, sorry, I was distracted by a comment. Usually, students test in a lot of their classes, even if they don't test in 100% of them. And so, someone directly messaged me and said, if you complete successfully the last 2 years of ISB, is it equivalent to 2 years of college? I would not say it's the equivalent to 2 years of college, but students, so the IB exams are graded on a 1 to 7 scale, and students who earn a 4, which is about a C+ if you were to put it in grades, or students who earn a 4 or higher are guaranteed credits at Oregon Public Schools. And so many of our students who go to OSU and U of O start as sophomores in high school. So it's usually around 1 full year of college, maybe a little bit more, but I wouldn't say it's two years of college.
And that's sort of that question at the bottom, why does this matter? I think gets at a few of these things. I mean, Tracy just talked about
Yeah.
credits at college and university, um, and that being a big part of it. I think we have, like we said, many students who complete the full diploma and pass all those exams will start as a sophomore. That's just
Yeah.
at Oregon schools, but certainly in different schools have different policies around that across the country, whether that's just skipping your prerequisites have to do or core class requirements. All of those things end up being, a key factor as to why students will decide different schools at different times after ISB based upon what they're getting from the results on their IB exams. There are some schools who give automatic scholarship money. So if you are an IB diploma candidate, the school might award you some money. Whether you've earned the diploma or not, you might automatically get some money from a college just based on the fact that you've done the full IB diploma. I can't, Trace, do you remember what it is? Is it OSU or U of O? One of them gives an automatic scholarship for that.
Well, both OSU and U of O give scholarship money for, they do it differently. OSU gives you a $3,000 a year scholarship if you get a 30-point diploma. So it's out of 45. So if you get 30 points on the diploma, you get $3,000 at OSU. U of O, if you get a 24-point diploma, which is the mark for passing, you get $1,000. If you get, this is per year for all 4 years. I can't remember what the next one, maybe it's a 28 or 30 gets you $2,000 and maybe 32 or 33 gets you $3,000 a year. So every school does it a little bit differently, but there is money attached to it.
In addition to whatever credits you're earning, whatever prerequisites you're able to skip, all
Yes,
that
those,
comes
yeah,
in.
that's additional.
Right. Um,
And this, I think this is my last slide.
yeah, sorry.
So at ISB, if you look at the Beaverton School District graduation requirements, that's the far left column. So that is what's required by the state of Oregon to graduate from high school, and that's what that you'll have to do. If you stay at ISB, we meet those requirements, but all of our students, when I first started counseling, we used to tell students who wanted to go to college, you need to take four in the core, which is four in the core subject areas: English, social studies, history, or English, social studies, science, and math. And that's embedded into the ISB curriculum. So you take 4 years of English, you take 4 years of world language, which is awesome. So many of our students graduate with pretty good fluency in there. I took 5 years of French and I can barely order a croissant in in Paris, but my kids already after 4 years speak really well. You have to take, we take 4 years of social studies, 4 years of science, 4 years of math. They take 4 years of their arts or electives. They do the 2 years of PE and health, and then this year there's a new course requirement from the state of Oregon, two new course requirements. They're both a semester each, of personal finance and college and career.
So we're going to go through the different groups right now, so different academic disciplines, just pretty quickly to show you what the scope is of those classes over the 4 years. Um, by title of these courses, and Tracy alluded to this earlier, the titles of these courses are going to look the same across the district for grade 9 and grade 10. So all grade 9 students across Beaverton school districts are taking literature and composition 9, all 10th graders are taking literature and composition 10. At ISB, at the 11th and 12th grade level, they're taking IB language and literature. Year one is 11th, year two, that should say year two is 12th. Um, and that's being taught at the higher level. So those are HL courses. Here is one of the differences about the ninth and 10th grade, I think, at ISB versus many of the other schools. Our teachers have done a tremendous amount of work articulating and aligning curriculum, really 6 through 12, but especially 9 through 12. So our ninth grade and 10th grade English teachers are well aware of what has to happen at grade 11 and grade 12 in order for those students to have success, whether that's in group one language, language arts, or whether that's in group two, world language, all of our different disciplines. Those teachers are looking up and down the grades. And so while the title of the course might look the same at any of the schools that your child goes to, I have been so incredibly impressed by the work that our teachers have done across the disciplines at ISB, ensuring that those ninth and 10th grade courses they're taking are truly aligned with what's going to come during the DP program in grades 11 and 12. And so that's while the titles may be the same, I think what they get is a little bit different and a little bit more preparation for the especially the HL courses at 11 and 12. Um, Group two, world languages. So your students would continue on with Japanese, Mandarin, or Spanish. At grade 11 and 12, there's some choices as to whether they take that language at the standard level or at the higher level. And for some students, they do ab initio. And some of those are the students who came into us as ninth graders and are just at level one as ninth graders. And they'll do sort of ab initio, which is the lowest level of language at 11 and 12, but still qualifies them for that full IB diploma and is considered a full IB course. We have many students who actually do what we call self-taught IB language, and that's because they have skills in a language other than these three, or skills they're already bilingual or fluent in one of these three. Self-taught is the same. You can imagine a junior year or senior year language arts class. It's similar to that, but it would be in whatever language that student is studying it in. And so I don't know all the ones we have this year. I think we have German this year. We have a Russian student doing Russian this year. I think we've got a student doing Arabic this year. So many students will do self-taught during their grade 11 and during their grade 12 years, which would be the equivalent of a language arts class in English, but being done in that other language. So they're reading novels, they're doing essays. And some students will double up, but we'll talk a little bit more about that later on. But students have to have language all 4 years while they are at ISB during the high school years. Group three is called Individuals and Societies. That's your typical social studies, I think is what we tend to know it by. We do US history during grade 9, civics and government during grade 10. Many of our grade 10 students, as part of their civics class, actually traveled to Washington, D.C. In this year, they're going in April. We have about 50 of the 100, or I think 50 or 55 of the 110 sophomores that we have that are actually traveling to DC as part of that. It's pretty amazing experience. All of our students take higher level history, and we do history of Asia during grade 11. And then we do sort of a variety of history topics during grade 12 in that year too. For students have an opportunity to double up in individuals and societies in group three classes. And so we also have students who, some of them are also taking global politics at the same time and or psychology at the same time. So kids will sometimes double up on the ones in that areas. You'll see in grade 11, it says on there IBHL History of Asia Extended Studies. During the junior year, all of the courses that they take that are HL courses, so English and history and biology, we give them an extra quarter of that course. And I think one of the reasons why our students, by and large, do quite well on those IB exams during their senior year and tend to earn the diploma at pretty high rates is because of the actual time that we take to ensure that we're covering the curriculum and able to go to the depth that we need. And one of the ways is we do that is they get an extra quarter of history, extra quarter of biology, and extra quarter of English during their junior year. Group four is what we think of as just as science, experimental sciences. This is similar grade 9, grade 10, again, similar across the district with STEM physics and STEM chem. And grade 11 and grade 12 is biology at the HL level. Some students choose to double up on sciences at the IB level by taking IB chemistry. And at ninth grade, actually, we offer a course called Advanced Science Research, which essentially is independent science research done under the guidance of a teacher. And for many of the students, they're entering their science research into some of the local and regional science fairs as part of that course.
All right, let's talk about math. Math is a fun one. So most of your students are either in AGS 1 or AGS 2. I think we have a couple in AGS 3. Um, for AGS 1, the whole district offers AGS 1 at the eighth grade level. And some students, the reason that they do that is because they understand that AGS 1 is really important as a foundation for AGS 2, AGS 3, and the pre-calculus that goes on. And so they start it in eighth grade in case students need to really solidify that learning in ninth grade and retake some of that work. So Some students, if they, I believe that the district requirements are you have to be earning an A or B in the class to move on to AGS 2 in ninth grade. If you're below that, then you take AGS 1 again in ninth grade. In either case, no matter what you take, no matter if you take AGS 1, AGS 2, or AGS 3, you do end up in IB courses that are college level courses where you can earn college credit for them. So if you do AGS 1, you do AGS 1, AGS 2, then you do either what's called math applications and interpretations, which is kind of like applying math to different situations. It has a lot of statistics in it. Or you do math analysis and approach, which is kind of math for the math lover. Um, so that is, and the same course is for AGS 2, AGS 3. They also have the same two choices. They just can't go into higher level math, both if you start in AGS 1 or AGS 2. And then in AGS 3, if you're doing AGS 3 in ninth grade, you do AGS 3, pre-calculus, and then most likely you have a choice, but most of our students go into the higher level math class, which is like a calculus class. All right. So, like I said, we have two different IB math classes that you can take. One is analysis and approaches, which is emphasis on algebraic methods, really that math thinking for students who are thinking about engineering and physical sciences or economics. And then math applications and interpretations is more real world math. So, it's great for students who want to go into the social sciences, natural sciences, even medicine, business, where you're going to have to use those statistics all the time, and some engineering also. I would say most of the time, students who want to do engineering are taking the math applications and approaches, but you certainly can take MAI. So the arts that we offer are very similar to what they had in middle school. So we have band, choir, art. But there is one extra one that they can take starting in ninth grade called digital filmmaking, which is a super cool class that we started this year. Mr. Cowan, who will teach them physics next year, um, teaches that class. And it is a class that is about like how film works and why directors choose the shots that they do. They do analysis of different movies and works that they've done. They create their own film, trying to replicate different. Uh, uh, I'm not a filmmaker, so I'm running out of the vocabulary, but trying to replicate the decisions that different directors made in their film. So it's a fun class. I think kids are digging it, and they take it on that's a 2 year class, so grade 9 and grade 10. They can take it both year. So digital filmmaking 1 would be ninth grade, and then 2. Some students they take only 1 year of it. They take it start it in 10th grade. So it just depends. Um, then they can go on. Then in 11th grade, you get a choice of art, straight up art, or you can take chemistry, psychology, or global politics and that's called your group 6 elective. When we talked about those groups earlier.
And then the one thing I wanted to add to that, we do get students, so they have to have this one elective choice, which sometimes it's IB Art, sometimes it's those other courses that are in those other disciplines that Tracy mentioned. Sometimes we have students who double up on language. So you
Oh,
might
that's
have a
right.
student who does self-taught, let's say in Russian, because they have that as a native language, but they stay still continuing to study Japanese as part of their program that they've been doing at ISB all along. And so we actually, every year, we usually get one or two students who actually end up with a triliteracy diploma where they've actually earned enough points in the IB exams to demonstrate triliteracy in English and then whatever their self-taught language is, and then in the ISB language. So that's another way to satisfy that elective requirement.
And then they're in ninth and 10th grade. Well, some of these go beyond are the other courses. So it's a state requirement that students take a year of health and PE. So they will do that in ninth and 10th grade. We do offer the AVID elective. So the AVID stands for Advancement via Individual Determination. It is a college preparatory class for students who might be first in their family to go to college, or to have some obstacle that might get in the way of them having the knowledge that they need to go to college, knowledge for college. And so that's a great class that does require a application, and you can that is, I put that on the eighth grade Canvas page today. You also can indicate you want more information about it when you fill out the forecasting form. Advanced Science Research, that's a class that Mr. Guilford talked about. It's only a ninth grade class. Miss Yee teaches it. She's been teaching it for a long time. And it is preparation for the science fair, the local science fair that then, or no, is it regional, local, and then regional, and then state. Some kids have gone to international. So it's a class period designed for that. IB seminar is so in ninth grade, you either take ASR, the Advanced Science Research, or IB seminar, or AVID. So the IB seminar class is largely a study period, and we find that ninth graders really like having this extra time. You know, there is a step up in the coursework in ninth grade, and so it's a time they do some lessons around organization. They might do some things about college. They give there's some information that they get in that class, but they also get a lot of time to do their work. The teachers are checking in on them about their work. And I would think, I don't know if this is still true, but sometimes in the past they've done like some study groups to help kids prepare for different things that are going on. There is the personal finance class, college and career class. Theory of knowledge is a requirement of the diploma program. And we also offer learning strategies for students who are on an IEP, and ELD for students who are acquiring English, the English language. Is this you? I can't remember.
Yeah,
Is
sure.
this
I
me?
can jump in here. So
Okay.
I mean, you just saw all those lists of courses, and it's huge. It's a lot. One of the things that occurred to me as we were looking at that, I know that a lot of seniors at some of the other high schools around the district, by the time they get to senior year, they don't have very many requirements left. They can have, four classes or five classes, and they have a number of periods off. One of the things for students to know is that when they're coming to ISB, and if they're staying through all 4 years, they're taking almost a full schedule all 4 of those years. Senior year, they have one free period that they have off. So we recognize that to have the level of success that we have, there's got to be some support that's in place for that. Um, I think the number one support that happens is that just that small community we have. We know our students so well. It's funny, Tracy on the call right now with us all, who's, last counselor for last names M through Z. But every time I bring up a name of a kid to her, even if their last name does not fall on her part of the calendar, and even if they're still in seventh grade, she seems to know who they are. And so I think that small school allows us to respond to students individually when individual problems arise and there's specialized support that's needed. Every week, there's 45 minutes of access tutorial where students can access teachers for extra help. We have a tutoring program and a teacher support program in the media center every Thursday, as well as some after school time for sort of just straight tutoring for kids. Um, Many of the classes form small study groups. That especially happens at the DP level, where students start to do a lot of work outside of school with each other. Our entire junior class has organized themselves with a massive online community where they're constantly sharing things with each other and supporting each other and clarifying questions for each other, kind of this big group chat that they're all on together. And so those kids will start to come together to give each other support as well. You mentioned the IB seminar class that happens in ninth grade. The 10th grade personal project class acts as that as well a little bit. 11th grade, that college and career class has some IB seminar time. And those classes are all in place to knowing that what the workload is to make sure students have the support that they needed. We have a graduation coach, so an individual who's working for us full time, who actually is a ISB alumni from some years ago, who has come back to work with us to help make sure students are getting to that end point along the way, and making sure they're able to be successfully doing not just graduation, but the IB diploma as well. And then lastly, we have funding for staffing positions and for teachers to have some extra support time, what we call our ninth grade success system. So on a weekly basis, teachers are coming together and identifying where some of the cracks are and figuring out how to fill those cracks. And if it's about identifying students and then reaching out to those students or shifting some things in the ways we're doing things in our programs we make those changes, and a lot of that comes out of that ninth grade success. So we are committed to having students be successful through this program and making sure the pieces are in place so they can make that transition to high school and feel like they're comfortable as they're making, really entering a more challenging environment, and then be able to stick with it and feel successful all the way through that diploma program at the end of senior year. So I put up these lists of colleges that ISB students have attended over the years, not to brag or not to sort of say, well, look where your kid could end up going, but just to show you that there's a huge range of schools and places that our students end up. And sometimes people have asked, well, do ISB students like, are they getting into STEM programs? Are they able to do these certain disciplines? And we're seeing students go in a whole array of directions. We have kids who are going to highly selected private colleges, obviously public universities. Many of our students do choose to stay in state and go to state universities. Our kids are going off actually internationally. I think we had 8 students last year when they graduated. They were going into countries around the world to study. Some of our students will go to some of the private small liberal arts colleges. And then they're going and studying a whole host of different things. Um, well, we are not a STEM specific program. Many of our students, probably the majority, I would say, go into STEM fields, whether that's engineering or bioengineering or biology in general. And when our seniors come back after they've graduated, because every December we invite our graduated seniors back to come and talk to our high school advisory classes, we hear time and time again, ISB has prepared me so well. And these are students who are going into a whole array of fields and a whole array of disciplines and feeling really confident from what they have gotten here at ISB. That last statistic on that list there is such a crucial statistic. And that the return rate, what that's referring to, 95%, what that's referring to is students go off to college. How many of those students return after freshman year to sophomore year at college? And across the country, there's a huge drop from the first year of college to the second year of college. Many students don't return.
It's
Our ISB students,
60%. This is my favorite statistic.
yeah, it's incredible. I mean, ISB students are returning at a rate of 95% to their second year of college, which means that they are finding it doable and easy and within their ability, but without a problem. And like I said, they often will talk about how well prepared they are from ISB, and actually how they sometimes have less work when they get to college than they uh, had had when they were at ISB, and certainly feel able to do it. So, and they end up eventually all over the place. We've actually, over the last couple of years, started an alumni network, and we have an alumni newsletter that goes out. So we've kind of reconnected with them. And like I said, they're really working in all sorts of different fields. I put a whole variety on here just so you could see the kinds of things that our students end up doing. Some are kind of humorous and sort of funny and interesting and quirky, but a lot of them are obviously high-end professional level positions in a variety of fields. And I'm sure their own experiences after ISB had a lot to do to get them to these places, but I think ISB was an incredible foundation for them to be able to do the work that they are doing. Um, just want to talk a little about because sometimes students want to return to the comprehensive high schools because of activities and sports. Here's the high school clubs that we had this year at ISB. So you can see there's a huge range of clubs at high school. These happen mostly after school for students who want to join clubs. And obviously, also many students participate in athletics at their home high school. That quarterback on that football picture there for Beaverton High School is one of our seniors this year at ISB. I think that's a sophomore who's playing softball there at Aloha in the middle. And then we have a number of boys. I think is that Westview? Who are the Skyhawks? I don't know this.
Southridge, that's Southridge.
Southridge, okay. Yeah, number of boys on the cross country team there. Just giving you a sense. And a lot of our students are, I think, almost nearly a third of our high school kids are playing sports at their home high school. And so still able to engage in that
And not
through
just
through
sports,
that.
you can do other things. Anything that ISB doesn't offer that the home high school does offer in as far as activities go, not courses. You can take, like, my oldest daughter is a junior. She has participated in the theater program at Sunset since she was a freshman and really enjoyed that. So we've had students do a different, like, if it's hard to believe that there's a club that we don't offer, because I feel like we offer a lot, but there's a few students who have done different clubs at their home high schools, because we don't offer it. So that's an option.
And I think orchestra is another common one. Well, students will do orchestra through their home high school as part of those sort of state level orchestra competitions, that kind of thing. You'll
Yeah, our
often see
marching band, we've had a lot
the
of
marching
marching
band is
band
another one.
kids.
Yep.
Hmm.
Yep. So they certainly have that opportunity while staying at ISB. So we really, I know it probably took longer than we originally intended, but wanted to take the time just to answer any questions you have. Tracy, I don't know if you're on the chat right now or you can see
I'm
in
on
there.
the chat. I tried to answer some in typing. Oh, there was one. Okay, so someone asked, do students have the opportunity to study in another international school around the world because of the U.S. International School Diploma? Do you have any sister schools outside of the U.S.? We do have sister schools. We have a sister school in Japan. I think is that our only one?
Two sister schools in Japan, but that would be not for high school time. I mean, those are high schools, not necessarily colleges. There's not a relationship with colleges in that way.
Oh, yes. So, oh, but I think this question was asking, like, do we have study abroad? We
I
don't
gotcha.
really have like a partnership with any schools overseas. We have, like I said, we have some sister schools, like our Japanese teacher has created like pen pal kind of things with different schools that are in Japan. So we have that. And then we have a lot of teachers who kind of outside of ISB, it's not directly connected, but have taken trips, as probably probably some of you guys went on the trips. Like we had a whole group that went to Thailand, Vietnam, and Cambodia last year. My daughter went with the Japanese teacher and nine other kids to Japan last year, and they did a homestay and visited the sister school. And now that school that they visited is going to come to ISB, and we're going to host some of their students. So we it's most of the things that we offer are not what's the right word that I'm looking for? Like not directly associated with ISB. Like I don't think I'm not sure the technicalities, but I'm not sure that we can actually sponsor those things. But we have a lot of teachers who work with outside agencies to do international travel.
Mhm. Uh, Last question that popped up in there. Can you talk about the ways the IB program is recognized by colleges overseas, universities overseas?
Actually, so that's a really good question, because if you're at all considering colleges overseas, that you can't beat the IB program as far as being in the United States. And that's because the IB program is an international program. It's recognized worldwide. And when you go from an American high school to an international school, a lot of times they will have American students take what's called a foundation year because they don't feel like they're quite ready for prime time college. They typically don't make you do that with an IB degree. Now, the difference is this. American colleges want you to take IB classes. They care more that you're taking the classes, and some colleges will give you credit for the tests, but that's kind of a bonus, I guess. Like they admit you before that you ever see your test scores. That's very different with international schools. International schools often give acceptances called conditional acceptances. So they will say you can come to the school as long as you get a 34 diploma and a 6 on the biology exam. And so the IB is really essential if you are thinking about going to an international college, most international colleges.
So the next question there says, how big are the classes typically? Even though we are a small school, we are staffed at the same levels ratio of teacher to student as all of the other secondary schools in the district. And so our class sizes are equivalent to what we're seeing in any of the comprehensive high schools. Where there's a couple of exceptions. We are really committed to running some of our classes to make sure we're serving all of our students. So, for example, higher level Chinese tends to be pretty small in numbers, but we want to make sure that experience is out there. So that class might be smaller. Also, because we're a small school, it's really hard to get the schedule to work perfectly so that every class can be equal in size and all students can get the classes that they need. And so you end up with these bubbles. So you might have a class that's as large as 37 or 38 and another class that's down around 20, 21, 22. But generally, I would say most classes kind of land in the 30, 33 students per class, kind of in there, I'd say. Tracy, would you say that's accurate when you're looking at class numbers?
Yeah, I would say. I got a direct message that said, can you please repeat what AVID stands for? AVID stands for Advancement via Individual Determination, and it was started, I think, in the 90s, maybe the 80s in California. And basically, it was teachers who recognized that there were some students that were very much capable of going to college, but they didn't have the knowledge and the academic skills that they needed to just get them to that next level of readiness for college. And so they created this program for students. So it's largely for students who have been historically marginalized by the higher education system. It is for students who are the first in their family to go to college. At ISB, though, I think we have a pretty wide range of students that are in there. A lot of them are first generation students, but a lot of them are in there just because they need some of those extra skills and they need a smaller environment. They need a teacher who's kind of looking. Our teachers kind of teach on a 2-year cycle with them, so they start in Avid in ninth grade, then they move to Avid in 10th grade with them. So it's a great program for some students.
Question says, are there any future plans to have a semester year-long study abroad program? There's not. There's not. Not that we would necessarily run directly. I think Tracy mentioned earlier a little bit. Uh, Even though it is not an ISB or Beaverton School District sponsored programs, we do have teachers who have led different travel groups over the summer. Teacher Mikiko West, longtime Japanese teacher, took a group to Japan last summer. Mark Hernandez, who's in his, I think, second or third year with us, he's done trips to Southeast Asia. He's got another one planned. I think he's trying to get kids to Belize. So we have teachers who will run trips in the summertime, not necessarily associated with Beaverton School District, but trying to create those opportunities. There's an organization called CAS Projects International, which is actually designed to bring students together from around the world to actually help them work on their creativity, activity, and service requirements for IB. And we've now had a handful of students who have done it in the summertime. They have programs in Singapore and the Czech Republic and Scotland. And so our students have traveled there for that as well, but not as a sort of official school program doing a regular sort of student travel abroad.
I had a question is actually I was typing it. Well, I'll answer this one too. Are there any volunteer requirements? I think maybe what you mean is service requirements. There are service requirements. Actually, even right now, there's service requirements for your eighth grade eighth graders. They are supposed to do one significant service experience per quarter. So that just means. You could debate what significant means. Like our family usually volunteers at the Oregon Food Bank, tries to do that once a quarter or look for a different way to volunteer. And that is so that's called service as action, and that is required 6 through 10 in the middle years program. Then in 11th and 12th grade, that's part of that CAS. So CAS stands for creativity, activity, and service. And so students, there aren't a set number of hours that students have to get. They just are they're expected to be engaging in creativity, activity, and service and writing some reflections about their experience. The other question that I got was, what is the IB diploma score total 42? It's actually 45, and that is because each class, the highest points you can score is 7, and there are 6 classes, so that's 42. And then there are 3 bonus points that you can get from theory of knowledge and the extended essay, that like college research paper that they write. So a perfect score, which happens like I think like two people in the world get it every year, maybe one, is 45. We had a 42-point diploma, I believe was that, and I think that was our highest score that we've ever gotten. I mean, that is really, really good. So
There's a question on there. Will the current political climate impact funding at ISB? Obviously, I think the funding impact has more to do with Beaverton School District and Beaverton School District budgeting. There's been some recent budget videos that I think have been released to the public now on the Beaverton School District website that kind of give the outlook for the next couple of years. I know overall in our district, enrollment is dropping a little bit, which has an impact to overall funding for the district. We are lucky because we're an options school and students enter via the lottery. We can keep our numbers the same because we have more people who enter the lottery than we have spots for. And so our total student numbers tends to stay pretty stable every year. And our funding is usually based on a per student basis. What happens overall in our district, if there's cuts, say, to staffing, that happens across the district. So we'll be impacted similarly to any of the other schools in terms of that. But because our student numbers stay stable, I'm feeling pretty optimistic about that.
we had a question: if a student has to leave the country and attend an IB school abroad, can they return to ISB when they come back? So, in theory, that would be awesome. The problem with that is there are lots of different ways to do an IB program. And so, um, that it usually doesn't work. And the reason is they have to, the school that was overseas, and there's many reasons why we don't do exchanges like that, but one of them is the schools overseas would have to offer the same exact courses that we offer, and they don't always do that. We have, and they also have to do it in a 2 year. There's some technical reasons why it doesn't work. um so uh but we have had some students that have done something like that, but it's really a case by case basis, and I will tell you that it is a lot trickier than it sounds like. It'd be easy, and it's not.
I think in the cases where it has happened, at least the two or three that I can think of, the students were at an IB school taking courses abroad, or just decided they were going to do a study abroad for a year and then came back. We weren't able to get them through the full IB diploma. They ended up being course candidates in some of the areas, but to be able to come back and then complete the full IB diploma, it just wasn't possible at all. And so sometimes those students then when they saw that they decided either not to go overseas in the first place. Obviously we know families make decisions about going overseas. We have a very international student body, as you know, and so sometimes that's the reality of it. So we try to make adjustments as we can. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
All
Other
right.
questions you have either in the chat or anybody out loud?
Feel free to raise your hand. You can do that raise the hand thing in the, is it reactions? Yeah, in the reactions.
And just know I'll make a copy of the presentation and send that out to all the eighth grade families so you have that. We did not record tonight, but you'll have
Actually,
at
we
least
did.
a
I did end
PowerPoint.
up recording.
Oh, you did? Oh,
Yeah,
you're
so
so
it's going to
awesome.
record to my computer, and I can put it on if someone asked at the beginning, so I just
Okay.
pushed record.
Okay, thanks, Tracy. Yeah, so we'll
No
make sure
problem.
there's a copy of that that you have access to in case you want to go back. And I think also just don't hesitate to reach out to Tracy or myself or Catherine or any of the other staff at ISB if you've got questions. Maria Calderon, I see you got your hand up. What's up?
Yes. Hi, Andrew. Hi,
Hi.
Tracy. Hi.
Hi.
I have a question. I was told that Mountainside is going to have a presentation for the students who are they're on their boundary. Is that true?
So there's two things. There is, I can't remember what night. I kind of feel like Mountainside is the first. They are going the first one of the comprehensive high schools. You can go to a parent night at Mountainside
Yeah,
on
yes,
February
13th.
11th, 13th.
Yes, that's
Okay,
a curriculum night. Yeah.
the curriculum night. Also, every year we have uh, counselors from each of the comprehensive high schools come to ISB to help students forecast who are going to their comprehensive high
Oh,
school.
okay.
So that will be, I think that might be what you're talking about. So that will
Yeah.
be on February 20th during advisory. And that's why it's really important. Tomorrow at 4 o'clock, you will get a parent square that has a link to the presentation that I gave the students and the link to the forecasting form.
Okay.
And so if you know for sure that you are going to the comprehensive high school, make sure you fill out that form and list Mountainside. If you want to just come and get information, the student is welcome to come. They just need to let me know that they want to be on the list of students that want to come.
Okay. Okay. So I will do that. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
There's
I
another
think we have
question in the chat about offering any IB performing arts classes. I imagine like music or theater or dance. We have tried over the last several years to offer IB music, and we just could not sustain the numbers of kids who were signing up for that was not sustainable in terms of the staffing. Really, it was only 2 or 3 kids per year, and we just couldn't afford the staffing to do that, unfortunately. And so we have not been able, outside of IB visual art, have not been able to offer IB level arts, unfortunately. What we do have for students who just really like to play music, some of our students, especially our seniors who often have a release period, they will still sign up for choir or still sign up for band and take that as an extra class during one of their release periods so that they can continue to participate in that. And actually, we also have a very active jazz band at the high school level. And so sometimes our juniors and seniors will be part of the jazz band. That's kind of more of a club after school, but then they perform at the band concerts and also at outside venues. Um, I know we also have a lot of students who are actively participate in music outside of ISB, Metropolitan Youth Symphony, those kinds of things as well. But unfortunately, we're not able to, don't have the numbers to be able to offer an IB music class. Well, if that's it, I just want to thank you all again for coming. Again, really don't hesitate to reach out, Tracy or I or anybody else at ISB. Happy to talk with you. Or if it's easier, send us an email and we'll get back to you with any questions you might have. So appreciate you guys coming. Um, good night, and we'll see your kids at school at 8:15 tomorrow.
Thank you.
Unless there's a snow day. What's the snow gonna
Yeah.
do?
No, there's not. There's no even snow. You know what there is? There's supposed to be some ice which we'll still have to drive in.
All right, y'all. Good night.
Good night.